Okay, so we're going to begin. Good morning. I am Lisa Smalls with South Arts, and I'd like to say thank you for spending your morning with us. We're going to be joined this morning by Delia Fian, and she's going to give us a presentation on what seems to be an oxymoron, authentic social media marketing. And before we begin, I'd just like to say that South Arts receives support from the National Endowment for the Arts through a partnership agreement to produce workshops such as these and conduct additional programs for our constituents across the region. You may visit our website as well as the NEA's website for additional information and opportunities. And without any further, I'm sorry, we will have a Q&A at the end of the session. You're more than welcome to place your questions in the chat. And at the end, we will address them, as well as you'll be able to come off mute if you have any pressing questions that we don't get to. And that's all from me. Delia, take it away.
Hello, everyone. I'm Delia. Thank you very much, Lisa, Hillary, and Ivan for hosting this. And thank you to South Arts. It's a huge honor to be invited to share today. The Traditional Artists Program at South Arts has done so much to support my work over the past few years. And I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for the Emerging Traditional Artists Program, which is a grant program, for those of you who don't know, that supports new or mid-career traditional artists and supports them in their endeavor for 1 to 2 years. And I was a participant in this and used it to greatly grow my work as an artist and as a teacher. And this past year, I became a mentor for that program. So thank you all so much. It's incredible that an organization like South Arts exists. And I'm so grateful every day for the impact on my life and those in the arts and crafts community. So today, I'm going to share with you all a little bit about my work, what I do as an artist and as a teacher, and how social media has been a huge benefit to propelling that work. And after we're through the presentation again, just please hold your questions. And at the end, I would love to hear questions from you all, ways to make my experience and everything I've shared applicable to your particular organization and your work. So let's begin. Can everyone see that all right? Okay, great. So authentic social media marketing. It does seem like a bit of an oxymoron. Marketing can be used as a tool for manipulation, and it often is. And social media can be used as a tool for distraction or manipulation. However, social media marketing can also be an incredible tool, especially for small businesses and artists, because it allows us to reach directly out to our customers, directly out to our community, without having to hire go-betweens or pay for costly advertising efforts. So if it's done really well, it can build relationship authentically with the folks that we're doing the work we're doing for. In this presentation, I'm going to go over how I've used social media for the school that I run and my personal work as an artist, and tips that I have for all of you in your particular work. So my work consists of being a director for a small nonprofit called School of the Greenwood. We've been running for about 10 years, and our work is teaching kids and adults handcrafts and storytelling. So we take a pretty unique approach to nature-based craft education in that our children's programs are all based in a live action role play theater storytelling. So when kids join our programs, we don't just tell them, now you're going to learn to carve a spoon. we actually build an entire theater set and costumes and have a whole overarching storyline. So when the kids arrive at camp, they're getting immersed in the story and their characters in a tale. And so we weave the crafts and the skills and the teachings into that storyline. So there might be an elder rabbit who lives at the edge of the forest who needs help getting a fire started to make her soup. So that would be how we teach the kids basic fire tending and fire starting skills. And in our adult programs, we teach basketry courses mostly right now, but over the last 10 years, we've taught a wide range of traditional skills from shoemaking, leather tanning, metal casting, really archery, bow making. The sky's really the limit. And we operate those programs in Georgia, in Athens, Georgia, and in Western North Carolina. My personal work also includes running online courses in basketry, and that I started this past year, and I'm in the midst of writing a book on basketry as well, which will be out by the end of the year. And I am an artist when I'm not running a school and teaching. I'm devoted to finding ways to meet our needs in place, finding ways to meet our needs using the materials that are growing around us in ways that are beneficial to other species. So not just extractive, but finding ways to exist that are beneficial to other humans and to the non-human creatures that are around us. And a big part of that has been exploring ways to take invasive plants and turn them into useful baskets. The invasive plant that I love to work with the most, you may be familiar with, it's kudzu. And kudzu is the vine that ate the South. And in that picture there behind me, that is a wall full of kudzu that I've pulled from the field, split in half, coiled it up, and hung it up to dry. And I work with lots of other invasive plants. For those of you who don't know, an invasive plant is one that is non-native and it's growing in extreme abundance and usually in such a way that it causes harm to other species. So it's been quite the adventure finding ways to use these plants to our benefit and make things that are really wonderful and can enrich our lives out of them. So I love to weave backpacks with kudzu. I like to weave satchels, like everyday purses and carrying bags, and as well as hats. And a big part of my life is teaching other folks everything that I'm exploring and finding and discovering. I have before this whole left-hand turn that I took in life to live close to the land, I got a degree in marketing from UGA and was a market research analyst for the New York Law School for a few years after college. And you know, it was a lifetime away. I live off grid now in the mountains of Western North Carolina. I'm living in a tree house that I've built with wood that I've harvested from the land with my partner. We've milled it ourselves. And it's funny to remember that, wow, I got a marketing degree. But recently I was considering this, and although that life is so different than the life I was setting out on when I got that degree, it was so different than the one that I've ended up creating for myself. But all of those teachings that I received in that foundation, those skills are absolutely still applicable to my life. And it's amazing how much I still put these basic marketing principles in action every day and how much that's contributed to the success of our school and my personal craft. I look forward to sharing some of those principles with you today. So how can social media support artists and small businesses? Here's how it's supported me and my work. At School of the Greenwood, we have a solid following on social media, on Instagram. We have 14,000 followers. And this isn't just a solid following in terms of numbers, but the folks who are following us, we're in relationship with. These are people who love the work that we do, who send their children or come to our programs themselves, or know people who are in our school. And that number directly feeds into the enrollment for our school. I'm able to post registration for our programs on social media, and our registration fills within minutes, and usually with a pretty big wait list. And it's been this way since we started almost 10 years ago. We haven't had to do any other advertising other than just sharing who we are on social media. Doing this, sharing through social media has not only allowed us to grow our numbers in our enrollment, but it's allowed us to have a deeper connection with the community. When we first started out by sharing pictures of what we were doing and who we are, the community was able to get an idea of what we're up to and really rally behind our work, build connection, and support us. And the social media work we're doing also has cast a really wide net to grow our community outside of even our local area. For all of our adult programs this past year, we've had students flying in from across the country to take a 2-day weekend basketry class, or driving 10 hours just to be there. And in our youth camps, we just run day camps. So every week we've had families coming from out of state and renting Airbnbs to be able to send their kids to our program. And the only reason that all of those people know we exist is because of growing our social media reach. We still mostly meet the needs of our local community, but it's been wonderful to have that, branch out and bring in folks from all over. As for my personal page, I have 367,000 followers, and that's mostly grown in just the past few years. This absolutely feeds into enrollment for my online courses and for our school's programs as well. And my basket classes, my online courses fill very quickly. And so what started as me just sharing some pictures of what I'm up to in my life has grown to such a point that I'm able to fully support myself as an artist. The social media page feeds into my email list for my classes and for the book that I'm writing. It also broadens my community, and I receive invitations through Instagram every few days to guest teach, to write for periodicals, and to be interviewed for podcasts. Social media also pays for content. It doesn't pay great, but I think I made $1,000 each year for the last 2 years for content that I was already posting and sharing with friends anyways. So that's pretty wonderful. Social media can also be a great teaching platform in itself. You can't, get really deep in a 30-second video, but it's amazing how many people reach out to me and tell me that my work has inspired them to create, to weave baskets, to live differently. And how many people go on to actually recreate the projects that I'm sharing about in a 30-second video on social media. One other amazing thing that I've found through having a large following is that I'm able to support other artists and other organizations in my community. So whenever I post something about a wonderful artist that I'm working with, or an organization like South Arts, people always tell me, "Oh my gosh, I just got hundreds more followers just from you dropping my name." And so that is just such a delightful thing to be able to do, to have this connection to these wonderful people and to be able to connect them with other wonderful people and have that mutual support. So, Greenwood marketing. How do we market on social media? The biggest thing is we simply share good quality photos of all of our programming. This is something that I decided to do from the very beginning, from our very first summer camps. And it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy to stop in the middle of when I'm teaching, get out my camera, take process photos. And I pretty much hold all of my students hostage and won't let them leave the class until I've gotten pictures of their finished products at the end. And it's become kind of a joke, but it is absolutely worth it because, well, part of it is that kids and adults, we can go through an incredible experience and then be done and move on with our life and forget how incredible it was. So when they have pictures of themselves or the kids have pictures to show their parents of everything they experienced, it helps them value and remember and treasure that experience so much more. Of course, it also helps show others about the wonderful experience they're having when their friends and their family see them tagged in pictures or they're going on to post them on their page. That grows our network and our potential group of customers. It's also incredibly helpful for potential students who might be curious about joining a class, but are afraid to take that leap, to make that investment in time and energy. It's kind of a vulnerable thing to sign up for a class or a program. We're all so busy. We have so much going on. Even if it's free, it's hard to actually get yourself there. But if you can see other people there having that experience and having a wonderful time, it makes it so much more approachable. Another aspect of our marketing is we do notifications about registration or organization news in our social media. And I found that folks are more likely to check their Instagram stories or feed than their email. And so I can get a quicker response and hear from people and give them more intimate updates on what's going on for us. And a big part of our approach to our marketing from the beginning has been to own our weird. And we set out at the beginning to not try to be like everyone else who's doing something similar to us. Certainly, that's one way to gain legitimacy, is to follow the lead or the vibe in your area of work. But we decided to go the total opposite direction. For one reason, not to step on other organizations' toes and to find something that was unique to us, but also to bring something of value to the community that wasn't already there. So in terms of our programming, but also our image, we decided to just be our unique selves, to own our weird. And for us, that looks like drawing our own logo rather than having a well-known local artist make it. We kind of have gone full for this vibe of this strange Celtic fairy tale, old folkloric feeling. And that goes into the clothes that we wear when we're instructing. It goes into the crafts that we're making, the music that I put with the videos, and even the font that I use in our videos is an obscure medieval font that I dug through websites to find. And so that has given us a unique flavor that identifies us and helps separate us from the other organizations who might be doing similar work. And the community has responded so well because we're always getting bombarded with, so many organizations doing so many different things. But if you can separate yourself with a unique flavor, it really helps build relationship with others and identify who you are and what makes you special. A big part of our marketing has been our commitment to excellence as an organization. This may seem obvious. Of course, we all want to do a good job, but it's really pretty rare to find folks who are devoted to doing well in the day in and day out. we all get tired, we all get worn down, and it's so easy to just do good enough. But in our marketing on social media and in how we run our programs every day, we always go above and beyond, usually go above and beyond, and to make sure that what we're doing is the best that we can possibly do. And that is what shines through all of these pictures. That is what comes through the word of mouth that goes through the community is that's what gets us these smiles on these faces, like that student in that picture holding her basket she just made by her face. She's so proud. But so many hours went into the preparation for that class, which I didn't have to do. I didn't have to get all of the kudzu prepared for them, and I didn't have to spend 3 extra hours after the class ended to help her finish that basket. But I did, and it's absolutely worth it for so many reasons. One of them is just the rewarding feeling of that smile on her face when she's done. And in the picture on the left, that is my partner, Joel, and he taught kids to make those little wooden marionette puppets at our winter camp last year. And he put in so many hours behind the scenes, along with our staff and some friends in the community, to help the kids be able to make those puppets in 2 days. And again, the feeling of joy and amazement when the kids are realizing that they created that and get to take that piece of magic home with them is so worth the extra long hours that it takes to make these programs so wonderful. And honestly, I think that the best marketing in the whole world is just to do a wonderful job. And no amount of excellent photographs or good wording or excellent marketing strategy is going to make up for the quality of what you're offering. In the end, that joy and that commitment and that passion for your craft and your work is what's going to shine through. So, how do I market my basketry work? I've been calling this invasive basketry because I work mostly with invasive plants and also because basketry is a craft that will take over your entire life once you get started. So the reason why I share is to inspire creative exploration and to inskill others who want to learn this craft. And the main way that I share my work through social media is through videos. I create educational videos that document the creative process that went into the making of these baskets. And what has made these videos so successful, I believe, is that they're enjoyable for anyone, not just folks who want to make a basket. It's a very, very small percentage of the population that cares about baskets. I'm aware of that. But almost anyone can be wowed when they see a plant growing out in the wild, see it be cut and manipulated and reshaped and transformed into a hat or a pair of shoes, especially if those plants are plants that are absolute terrors and everyone hates them. So I've found a kind of a unique niche in working with plants that are hated, and that makes my work almost take this alchemical magical process on where it's just kind of awe-inspiring to see that something so terrifying can be turned into something so wonderful. And so although I'm teaching about basket weaving, I'm also teaching folks that sometimes the most terrifying and disastrous things that we're facing can have opportunities within them. And so I like to think that I'm inspiring some hope for the creative process and the creative power that we all have to go into these difficult places and to make beauty out of them. So these videos that I share on my page, I will direct people through the link on my bio to my website. And folks who enjoy the videos and want to connect more can sign up for the newsletter, for my book announcements. They can join my online course, and they can join in-person classes. And it's this last spring, as I mentioned, I launched online courses for the first time. And that was so incredible. I had no idea how it would go. I'd never done anything like that. And there was a huge learning curve to getting all the equipment necessary to make an online course happen. But I had so many people sign up from all over the world. There's an ice sculptor in Norway and folks in New Zealand, and they're all coming together to learn to make baskets with these invasive plants. And so this was only possible through my social media network. If I had just offered an online course to people I knew or who I had email connections with, there's no way it would have been as successful as it was. But I made in a month or two enough to live on for the rest of the year. So this is an incredible opportunity for artists and teaching artists to reach a really wide audience and to support their work comfortably at home. And once you've made the online course, it's still there. It can keep going and people can continue signing up forever. And so pretty much since I opened that, whenever I create an online social media post about my work, that draws new people to my page and it draws new people to my course. So I'm able to make a pretty good living off of my social media page just from sending folks to these online programs. And that was something I hadn't really expected to go so well. And I hope that more artists and craft artists can tap into that. Keep trying to arrow over and it keeps telling me I can't do that. So let's talk about your social media marketing strategy. These are really, really wonderful and important questions. So I encourage you to just screenshot this page, to open it up later, and to take time to just journal answers to these questions. This is all going to be recorded, but just jot down these questions and really let them sit with you and come up with as many answers as you can as you clarify your approach and your strategy. So the first of these is to consider, why are you sharing on social media? It may seem obvious to get more followers, but why? What is the goal here? Do you just want a whole bunch of followers, or are you trying to establish a presence in a particular community? Are you trying to help shift some culture change? Are you trying to influence? Are you trying to sell a product? You could have several goals here. It could be not just about selling a product. It could be to encourage questions and inspire thought to shift a paradigm. We have so much potential to impact our community and to grow our community that really the sky's the limit. So being really clear on what it's all for is so helpful as you actually decide how you're going to do it. So who do you want to connect with? Are you trying to reach out to a certain target market? Is there a certain group of folks that's going to connect well with your organization? Do you want, like for my school, we want to reach out to people in the local community mostly because they're the ones who are going to be more likely to send their kids or come to our programs. But also, it's okay to reach out and have a much bigger net because that has also been supporting our school as well. For my basketry work, I'm connecting to anyone and everyone who wants to learn about invasive plants and basketry. So where does the content you might share overlap with what your audience wants to see. So this is a big one. We're not just in a vacuum putting content out to the world. There are actual people on the other side of those screens who have their own lives going on, their own interests, and they don't want to see everything that we want to share with them. So if you can identify exactly who you're trying to reach, you can identify what it is they want to see and see if there's some place of overlap between your work and your passion and what they might be interested in. So for me, it's way easier to just share a photograph of my baskets. However, if I'm wanting to teach lots of people about the wonder of this craft and the incredible ways we can use these plants, I need to realize that not everyone wants to see my baskets. But a lot of those people would be interested in seeing the process of the plants getting transformed into a hat or some other item that's useful in everyday life. So I put forth the extra effort to make these videos that can reach more people and achieve some of the goals for why I'm doing this work. A great thing to ask is, what content do you enjoy seeing on social media? So your target market, your community is probably going to have some similar interests to the things that you enjoy. So you are going to be probably your best market researcher. So I encourage you to take time to look through your feed, look through the search page, and look through the Reels page, and notice what content is jumping out at you. What is inspiring you to learn more? What's inspiring you to actually go to that person's page and follow them? And what is annoying and you just scroll right by it? It may be that bright colors are catching your attention, loud music, maybe things that are calming, things that are asking a question, things that seem to be deeper or shallower. Is the content long? Is it short? Is it videos? Is it photos? And make a list of what you actually see working for others to get your attention, and consider that as you craft your own strategy and your own posts. So which platforms do you want to engage in? All these platforms have a little bit of a different vibe and a little bit of a different technique as you're working within them. I choose to engage mostly through Instagram. Personally, I don't have a lot of time. Well, I don't want to spend a lot of time surfing through endless social media platforms and maintaining all of these relationships. I live off grid, and so I'm really pushing it as it is. So I've really focused in on Instagram. I find that a lot of the people I want to reach out to are there already, and I appreciate the way that it feels to be in that app compared to other platforms. It may be that TikTok is better for you and your organization, or Facebook, or just, or Twitter. So I will say that the reason why I don't engage in Facebook much is that seems to be better for connecting to people who know me already, not as great for casting a wide net and reaching new people or people who aren't in my community in my life. I do maintain a Facebook page, and that is because a lot of people, like family members and elder basketry teachers, aren't on Instagram. And so those folks can still see the work that I'm sharing. I just have it set up so it automatically shares everything I post on Instagram goes straight to Facebook. And then I go on there every few days or once a week and say thank you and send messages to people. But I don't put a lot of investment in there. And it's been really helpful for me to focus in on one platform. TikTok, I do have a TikTok page. I started that last spring just as an experiment, and I figured I'm already making videos, why not put them on TikTok as well? And within a couple of months, I had 150,000 followers. And a lot of them were like really wonderful folks were reaching out and saying, thank you so much for sharing this. This is so inspiring. There are a lot of young people on TikTok who were saying things like, this gives me hope for my future. I want to live like this. Thank you so much. And I've actually had people show up in my basketry classes in real life from TikTok. So that was definitely worth putting some time into. But I haven't been maintaining it much because TikTok is set up a little bit different, where that algorithm, they want you there all the time. And whereas Instagram, I'll talk about this more, but Instagram, you can post once a week and it's cool. But TikTok wants you, the more you post, the more likely people are to see the things you're posting. And I just don't have enough time in the day to really devote myself to that platform. So I just encourage you to not overreach with the number of platforms you're trying to work within. So another thing to consider is, how are you going to use your social media page and your content to feed into your particular business needs? So for me, I can direct people to my website, they can join the newsletter, and that is really helpful, because just because someone follows you or likes a post doesn't mean you're going to have a continued relationship. So if you have some way set up for them to get in touch with you, to be a part of your network for future program offerings, it's great to have that be really easy and seamless. They're on your Instagram page or your Facebook. They've got a direct link that's easy to find, and they can sign right up for your email list. And this is my favorite part, your image. What is your story? What is your flavor? Who are you? This is something that you get to reflect on and dream about and be so creative with. And maybe that's why I was drawn to marketing in the first place. It's like, this is like, you are the art piece that you're creating. And when you're in a screen on the social media screen, you have incredible power to express certain parts of yourself that maybe you don't have room for in your day-to-day life. Or maybe it's a little safer to express on the screen because you can reach out to folks in a wider community that love who you are and what you do more than your family or your neighbors who might think it's weird. So I like to I like to ask folks to consider, imagine yourself as a part of a storybook. Imagine there's like a fairy tale or folk tale, this book that's written about you, whatever kind of story you like. It's about you. And what is your character like in that story? This is an imaginary world, so you can imagine anything you want. You can imagine lots of yous, but what do you dress like? What do you speak like? What is your set? What's your scene? Where are you standing? Where are you living? Consider, what it is about you that's going to make you unique from the other characters in the story or out in the world. So it's so cool that we can get this chance to really flesh out certain aspects of ourselves. And I think it is wonderful to do because it helps set you apart, for one thing, from other folks that are out there. Again, there's just this sea of folks competing for our attention. So trying to blend in and be like everyone else may not be that successful. If you can find what it is about you that makes you unique and bring that out, it may work very well for you. So I explained how the school just embraced our uniqueness, but the same goes for me in my life and in the way that I market myself and share my work artistically on social media. So I've got this mountain medieval vibe going. I wear linen dresses that make me really happy. And when I dress this way around town, I might get some funny looks. I still do it anyways. But when I dress this way on social media, folks love it. And I put intentionally pretty strange music on my videos that makes me really happy. I'm expressing this really free part of myself that really embodies my creative work. And so every aspect of that speaks to the deeper messages that I'm trying to convey in my creative work. So I encourage you to really free yourself to be unique as you create your image in your social media page, especially as an artist. And for an organization, that goes as well. So maybe you're not in a storybook, but how would you like your organization to be perceived in the community? Because every post you make, every time you have photos of employees, even the tone of voice that you're using as you're conveying messages of your organization, it's helping people form an idea of who you are and how you are in the world. So, since people are forming these assumptions and these stories about you and your organization, you might as well be really intentional about who you want to be and how you want to be perceived by everyone as they're taking in your work. So, planning out your content specifically, it's really helpful to have a theme for your social media page. It feels good to open up a page, whether it's a website or an Instagram profile, and have it feel consistent, not to the point where it's boring, it's all the exact same, but if there's a feeling that carries through almost like a song that isn't too disjointed, it's going to be enjoyable. So my goal is always when I'm creating a page is to have folks feel like it's a place they want to spend time. They want to look around and explore things flow together, but there's differences in each post that creates a little bit of excitement and curiosity. And as you go look through pages that you really enjoy, look through pages of influencers who have a large following that are in your line of work, and look at what they do well on their page. What is the vibe and the feeling that they have? And so a big part of making that a reality is being really clear from the beginning on what content you're going to leave off of your page to maintain consistency in that theme you're going for. So I really limit my personal page to posts about basketry and handcraft. Things that have to do with my personal life. I get really tempted to post, but I really limit that because it's not what this page is for. And so I will put those in my stories if I feel like that thing for my personal life is going to be interesting to my followers. I really leave out a lot of things that I didn't before I had put more energy into my page. And for the school, of course, we just focus on our programming and announcements we want to make to the community. There was a time when I was branching out on the school page to educate about wildlife and all of these different things, but it was creating a bit of a disjointedness in the theme, so I've really stuck to our programs and our storylines. One thing that I find a little bit disruptive on social media pages is having text, like a bright color, like an event poster, or or just some attention grabbing text, because when you have that mixed in with pictures, it's going to draw someone's eyes straight to the text and the bright colors, and it can make the flow and the feeling and the atmosphere of your page a little bit disjointed. So I encourage you to be like sparing about that. And if you do have posts that are large text, if they're outdated, you can just archive those. Hit the little dot 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 at the top and archive that post so it's not deleted. It's saved should you ever want to bring it back on your page, but it's not going to be interrupting the feeling. And sometimes I do that with just regular photos or videos if I feel like they're disrupting the flow. I don't like the way the colors sit with the next pictures that I posted. I'll just archive it, and if I change my mind later, I can bring it back. So again, with your content, I keep bringing it home to this because marketing is all about relationship. But what's in it for them? Why should people care to connect with you and what you're sharing? So anything that you're sharing with the community, I always try to ask, what's it for? Like, what is in it for the people who are going to receive this? They're not here to just hear what I'm thinking just 'cause or what I'm up to. Maybe my immediate family is, but since I've built a larger network, I have to consider what of value am I adding to these people's day? And if you consider that, you might find a way to rephrase what you're posting that makes it more valuable for the people you're wanting to share it with. So here are some general tips for social media. Put your face in it. Some of us feel funny taking selfies. I hate taking selfies, and it took me years to jump on the train of having pictures of myself, but it really helps build connection in your posts, and it adds so much to engagement. At first, I mean, people complain about it. You may have seen people posting, here's my face because the algorithm wants to see my face, and this post is important. But I really don't think it's just the algorithm. We are social creatures and we love to see each other. We light up when we see someone else lit up. And it really helps us empathize and connect with what's being said if we can see the person behind it. Now, I don't mean putting your face in every single post. I personally get annoyed with pages that are all endless selfies. But if you can mix in your face or the faces of customers or employees, it really, really helps people connect with who you are and what you're trying to share. And I was skeptical about that, as I mentioned, but I did what I recommended y'all do and was searching through my feed and noticing which posts stuck out for me. And I realized that yes, the posts that have faces in them are way more engaging to me. And so that was when I decided to include more of that in my work. It I saw a picture of someone who had made a hand-carved bowl, and it was just a bowl, and it was beautiful. But if they would have picked up the bowl and been drinking out of it, and there was a face there, I would have been way more interested in what they had to say. Another thing to include, as much as you can, is videos. They take more work to create usually, but videos are also going to be more engaging. Having a moving picture is, for one thing, it's just going to draw your eye more than a static photo. It also, you can convey so much more information in something that's moving than just a picture as well. You know, you've got a three-dimensional space that you're getting kind of drawn into, and you can hear tone of voice. You can show more of a process behind something. So I really encourage you to explore videos, at least give it a try. Doesn't all have to be videos, but peppering those in is wonderful. Multi-photo posts are also really great and they get more engagement. And the reason for that is people are scrolling through your post, not past your post. And that's, you know, multiple photos is helpful as long as those photos each add something of value to what you're sharing. Multiple photos of the exact same thing from slightly different angles is a little bit annoying. One thing to know as well is it's not a good idea to edit a post after you've posted it. This was the case at least a few years ago. I don't know if it still is now, but if you edit a post after you've posted it, the algorithm resets for that back to 0. So say 20 people liked your post in the first couple of minutes after you shared it. If you edit that, The algorithm will reset that as if no one liked it. The likes are still there for people to see, but the algorithm devalues your post as if no one has liked it. And so it's going to be less likely to get passed on. There was a while there where I kept putting typos up on my photos, and I would take the time after I posted it to think about wording better and change things. And all of my posts were suddenly, for a week or two, getting a lot less views. And then I realized that was the case. And so now if I've posted something and I realize there's a small typo, I just leave it. It's not worth it. People are gracious. If there is a major typo or something you need to change, just delete it and then repost it. Oh, I can do that. Cool. Learning so much about technology today. So, timing is really important with social media marketing. It's important to know when your followers are going to be most active. And that tends to be in the middle of the week and in the middle of the day. I guess folks are at work on their lunch break, and it's a nice time to get out the phone and get caught up on your friends and what's happening in the world. Also, if you have followers spread out all over the world, then that middle of the day is something that can reach people on either side of the world. If you change your personal account to a professional account, Instagram will give you all the statistics on when your followers are most active. And that's wonderful to look at. But you can really just count on it being middle of the week, middle of the day. Towards the weekend, people get busy with their own lives. They're spending a little bit less time scrolling through social media. And so Tuesday, Wednesday are my best days for posting. And it can be a pain sometimes to have this content ready to share, and it's Friday, and I like have to wait all the way till next Tuesday to post it if I want people to see it. But it's absolutely worth it. Recently, I posted something on Friday, and like maybe a quarter of the people saw it who would have if I would have just waited. So sometimes I'm lazy and I just throw it up there anyways, but I generally try to hit the sweet spot on timing. And so the algorithm is going to value your posts based on how much interest they're generating right after posting them. So that's another reason why posting at those sweet times is ideal, because we're not just seeing live posts right when they're getting posted, but Instagram is valuing them and ranking them and saying this was a really popular post. There's tons of comments, tons of likes right away. So we're going to share that with a wider audience tomorrow. And take care to not overshare as far as timing, how often you're posting, and how long your posts are. It can be good to post fairly often, but if you're bombarding people, they might get annoyed or disinterested. We all value things that are a little bit rare or special and unique from our day to day. So I think it's really helpful to hold back the things you're sharing, to just share the things that are most important to you to share and to spread them out a little bit. If you post several posts within minutes of each other, a lot of people aren't going to see them. The algorithm might just share one of those to a wider audience. And Instagram executives have said that it's not about posting really often. Some people think that the more often you're posting, the better, and that's what helps you get picked up by the algorithm. And it's really important that you post consistently, however. Instagram wants to know, are you, and other social media platforms, they want to know, are you a good investment? So if you're reliably posting good content, they're going to consider you a good investment and they're going to be more willing to share your page and your work to a wider audience because that means more people are on their platform and they're having a good time. So for me, that means posting once or twice a week. And you can post in your stories more often than that, but I try to keep it to just once or twice a week. And I try not to miss any weeks so that I'm staying fairly consistent. If you kind of drop off the face of the earth and don't post for a while, it might take a little bit more time of consistently posting for the algorithm to trust you again and start sharing you to all of your followers or to new followers. So as far as how long your posts are themselves, I find it's a good idea to keep it fairly short and sweet. Long posts are great for people who really love you and want to hear you carry on about something. But generally, people are busy. They've got a lot going on. And so for each thing I'm posting, I take a pause and I ask, how can I distill this down? Can I get this down to just a 1 or 2 sentence nugget? If not, it's okay. But the shorter and sweeter you can keep it, the better. And that goes for the text at the bottom of your post, as well as for videos. Instagram and TikTok have been trying to promote longer videos. I think that's to try to compete with YouTube, but I still find that the shorter videos tend to be way more popular and well received, and that's between 15 seconds to 30 seconds long. It takes a pretty amazing 1 minute video or longer to generate a large following. So how to maintain authenticity in your work? As we said at the very beginning, marketing can be absolutely used as a tool for manipulation, or it can be used as a tool to build actual connection with people in your community and folks you would like to become part of your organization. I believe that authentic marketing is way more effective in the long run because you're building real relationships that are beneficial for your customers, that are beneficial for you. It's going to be way more stable like any relationship. And relationships that are built on manipulation or being the next new big thing, people are eventually going to tire of it, and you're just going to get passed over for the next new big thing. So one thing to be careful of while we're talking about authenticity is to be considerate of the impacts of paid promotions. So I have never paid to promote one of my posts on social media. That is something that works well for me, for the people who are following me, for the message that I'm getting across. Paying for ads doesn't quite fit. Doesn't mean it doesn't fit for everyone. But I also, when I see a paid post or boosted post, I personally get annoyed and try to scroll through it because to me it appears inauthentic. It's not something that there's an actual relationship drawing me to it. There's money drawing me to that person. So that irritates me. Not everyone is that way. However, I do think it can be useful and when used very sparingly at certain times. So when my book is published and I'm trying to get the word out to a huge audience about this book being out there, I will probably give it a go at promoting that book and advertising on social media. And there's also paid partnerships with organizations and companies through social media. I get approached all the time about brands wanting to pay me or give me products in return for using their products in my videos and my posts. And so far, I have not accepted that from anyone. And again, this is something that works really well for me and it feels authentic to the message I'm conveying and my particular audience. It may be something that works well for other folks. I personally believe that folks are following me. A big reason why is because I'm just being myself. I'm sharing who I am. I'm sharing about my life, passion, my work, and there's a lot of trust that gets shared with me because of that. And so for me to post something or use something solely because someone's paying me to do it or incentivizing me to do it, it feels like a little bit of a betrayal of that trust. So I have not crossed that line yet, and that feels really good and really responsible to me. However, I'm totally cool with sharing things that I'm actually using in my life, especially things that friends have made and given to me. It feels really wonderful to be able to share their work. And I think that because I haven't become a commercial for these other organizations, it leaves enough room for me to be able to plug in the crafts and the work of friends and people that actually know. There's only so much plugging you can do before your page starts to feel like an infomercial. And so I save that for my true real deal, real life relationships. And so, of course, for maintaining authenticity, it's important to genuinely care about the people you're connecting with. That is absolutely going to come through in the way you approach your work, and people are going to feel it. And it's what's going to draw them back to your page, back to your organization, time and time again. So, again, for each post you're doing, really think about the people that are out there. Who is this for, and how is this going to be of a benefit truly for them? When I was in my consumer behavior class, at UGA, the teacher was telling us how all the big corporations, their marketing departments are finding out what people's emotional needs are in their life and finding ways to very creatively position their product to look like it's going to meet that need. So, maybe someone's lonely or their life is boring. So we're going to take that need and we're going to try to sell them a vehicle or a cola. And I remember raising my hand and asking, is this ethical? And the teacher just said, what do you think, class? And there were lots of different opinions on that. So that is one way that it's really easy for marketing to go, like just taking from people and seeing people as commodities that you can sell to. But if you remember that they're actual human beings with their lives and their own relationships, and find that place where what you want to share with them overlaps with what they actually want and need, in a way that's beneficial to you both, that is a marketing strategy that is going to last a really, really long time. And it has worked so well for me and for our school. And then lastly, that genuine passion that you have for your work is what is going to shine through. And that shines through in the word of mouth that goes through the community, and it shines through in every post you make. And if you need to take time, if you're burnt out, to remember why you're doing the work you're doing, that is truly the greatest marketing strategy that you can have, is to be passionate and to love what you do. So thank you all so much for being here, for listening. And we're going to have a Q&A next. I'll hand it over. But if you think of a question after this is done and you would like to email me, that's my email address. You can reach out on social media, and I'm so glad to share more with you. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you, Delia. To see so much done with a plant that I grew up with just in the backyard is amazing. And it looks like they're different colors. I love it. It's very beautiful. Okay, so we're going to get right into the questions. The first one is, did you record the online classes, or are they a live make along with you? What platform did you use? Can you talk more about that process?
Yes, great question. So the format that I chose for my classes is to pre-record all the lessons. And they've all been uploaded to Wix. Wix is who I run my website through, and they have an online program app through the website. It's had several glitches, so it may not be the best platform, but it works well for me because I'm already running my website through them. And there's some advantages. The students can download an app and be able to access all of the content on their phones. And the online program has a group forum embedded in it. So people can ask questions and I can respond to them whenever I'm able, usually within a couple of hours or a day or two. Like I said, I live off grid. So that has been a really awesome structure for me. And I've heard from a lot of students that it works really well versus doing a live course. A lot of my students, they're in my online class because they're on different parts of the world. They can't come to an in-person class, or their parents, and they have to just squeeze in their creative time and these little bits and pieces here and there. So the flexibility of having access to that material anytime, anywhere works great for them. And the class doesn't end. I'm going to keep that material on the website forever for them. So no rush to get it done. And we are concluding the class with one live get together on Zoom, which will actually be coming up very soon.
Okay, next question. For the why are we sharing on social media? What if we have multiple whys? For example, I am an artist who wants to document my journey as an artist, but also sell prints. Thanks.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes, we've all got multiple whys, I'm sure. And those two go so well together because I personally think that when people know the story of the artist behind the work, they're going to be purchasing that. They're going to be supporting you and connecting with you, who you are, your story, your journey, so much more than just the print. It adds so much more depth. So having both of those two be your really clear priorities is wonderful. And so you can make sure to incorporate in your posts a good bit about your story, who you are, why you're doing what you're doing, as well as here's what I have available. Message me if you want to purchase it.
Okay. What are the most effective techniques for fostering genuine two-way engagement on Instagram that goes beyond simple likes and generic comments? Can you provide examples of how artists have successfully used features like polls, questions, or challenges in their stories and posts to encourage meaningful conversations, build a sense of community, and create lasting connections with their followers?
That is a great question. And I have not done a lot of polls or 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 really questions. One reason is that I've seen it get used in a way that feels kind of false. I've seen it a lot used that way because it does generate a lot of interest and action and it is a great tool for increasing your followers. But I've seen businesses catch on to that and start just asking questions all the time just to get more engagement for their posts. Um, so I can't speak to that for how to do that really well, but I do feel that I've had some incredibly meaningful engagement with my followers just from posting really genuinely and and sharing not just here's my finished product, but here's a little bit about my story, about my life behind this craft, and people seeing me as a person, as a real human being, and that gives them opportunity to ask questions, to share, oh, me too, that reminds me of this. And sometimes people send me private messages asking questions and just taking the time to get back to them. And also in the comments, people will ask questions and share. So I do feel like I've had a lot of two-way relationship. And when you have a large followership, it can be overwhelming to have too much of that. And so that may be also part of why I haven't done more, is that I don't want to spend all my time just typing answers on my phone.
Great. Okay. Could you explain the where more, the part about overlapping?
Yeah, that's a great question because that really is the heart of all of it. So I think a big thing that can happen when we're looking at a screen or we're looking at a drawing board for a marketing plan is we're thinking about who we are and what we want to share, what we want to get out of this relationship. But it's more difficult and really important to really consider who we're sharing with and what their interests might be. And so if you're a fairly empathetic person, you might be able to fairly easily imagine what your customers are interested in or potential followers. So we're trying to, you can draw up a Venn diagram with like, here's me, my organization, what I want to convey and share. Here's the people I want to reach out to. Here's what their interests and their needs are. And then there's this place in the middle where those two circles overlap. And that is the sweet spot that the where is, you know? That's where you figure out what it is they're interested in, how to best tailor your content specifically to them and their actual needs. Does that answer the question?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay,
Thank
cool.
you. Okay. Does it make a difference if you schedule posts on Instagram? Does this impact audience connection or reach?
I don't think that it does, but for me, I feel like in each moment that I'm sharing, the time of day, what I'm feeling will put a slight difference on the way that I'm posting it. So I do all of mine live and in that moment just because it's just a little bit more authentic. But I don't think that it affects the algorithm, and it might be what works best for you if you're at work or whatever. For me, I'm often off grid, so I have no cell signal. So I have to go to town to post something anyways, so I just do it all live.
There was a request to see the contact page or slide again.
Yes. There we go.
Okay. And I'll just move to the next question while that is up for anyone who needs it. Awesome presentation, Delia. Thanks. How long have you been doing social media for your brand?
Thank you so much, whoever that is. I've been doing social media for 10 years for the school. And that entire time, I've been on Instagram personally, and I've been pretty consistent for the school, just posting as good quality as I can, photos of our programming and the folks having a good time at our school and conveying who we are. But as far as for my personal artistic craft, that was pretty just half-hearted up until a few years ago. I decided to to really question why I was posting on social media, why I was posting pictures of my baskets and my creative work, and really decide whether it was worth my time because I was pretty skeptical of social media. And so that was kind of coming through. So I decided either do it all the way or don't do it at all. And so I reflected and decided that there is a wonderful opportunity in social media to share the underlying messages of my work, the reason why I'm doing it, to inspire, to instill. And so I decided to seize that opportunity to give it a go. And I bought a pretty nice camera. I got a used, you can buy used cameras, they work great. Sony 6400. And I downloaded Wondershare video editing software and learned how to use it, and then started making videos. And my first video that I shared was just me peeling bark 3 years ago and just peeling rotting bark off a tree. And I put some weird medieval music to it, and it went totally viral. So within a week, I had 16,000 followers from 3,000. And so it was pretty amazing to realize if I just chose to do this well, chose to do it with intention, that I could absolutely reach tons of people and meet my artistic goals.
Right. Can you speak about hashtags on Instagram? How do you choose them and how many to use? Thanks for a very informative talk.
Yeah, hashtags are, I think, pretty helpful. I always use them. I found that when I don't, the post doesn't seem to do as well. So that's enough research for me to continue using them. And when I use pretty much the same hashtags every time. And when I first decided which ones to use, I decided to take a look at different influencers whose work I really admire and is similar to mine, different basketry artists or traditional skill or craft artists, and which hashtags are they using? And then picked out which ones applied to my work as well and tried to include those. Now, if you have a ton of hashtags, I think it looks a little cheesy. So I try to just have a couple of lines, 3 lines at the most of tags. And I try to only do tags that are going to be connecting you to a really large audience. So a small hashtag that might only have a couple of hundred posts, even a couple thousand posts, is while it might be appropriate to my post, I'm not going to include it because the whole reason I'm tagging is to draw in a bigger audience and help the algorithm better understand what I'm doing.
When you post videos, is it specifically in stores or regular post?
In stores, I don't know what that.
Um, Jackie, do you mind
Maybe
coming off of
stories?
mute?
Is it stories?
Stories. Oh, yes.
Stories. Okay,
Wait.
thank you. Got it.
I do my videos almost entirely in regular posts as reels. And I started doing that right when Instagram was promoting Reels. And so I kind of hit it at a time when there weren't a lot of Reels out there and Instagram was really promoting those. But you will find that Instagram will share your Reels more than your regular posts, most likely. And so it can be really helpful for reaching a wider audience. I will do some videos in stories, but they're more just, here's what I'm up to today, not things that I'm wanting to reach a really large audience.
Okay, these are great questions. What resources do you use to stay up to date on algorithm changes in social media, such as having less traffic on posts that have been edited?
So I pretty much just Google it. If I've got a question, a specific question that I want to keep up to date on, I just search for it and look through several different websites. Some marketing websites are a little bit cheesy and some of them aren't updated, but you can find good ones that have a more recent answers. And then there are some that are directly from the platform employees, and those are pretty helpful to clarify.
Because the theme of this workshop is authenticity, I wondered if you experienced tension between the unavoidable tech-filled life of documenting a tech-free off-grid life.
Absolutely. Yes, that's a major tension. And that is part of why a few years ago I was really asked myself, this doesn't line up with my beliefs and my lifestyle. So is this worth me continuing to post through, or should I just do away with it and focus on my real in-person life? And and then after reflecting, that was when I realized that, as an educator, it is worth it for me to engage in this platform and in all of this technology to be able to share what I'm learning and share the underlying message that I'm conveying in my artistic work with a wider audience. But it is a little bit frustrating, and it's something that I've had to approach creatively and consider, like learning to edit videos is an extension of my creative work. So I'm working for a world where we don't need social media anymore, but in the meantime, it is a really helpful tool.
Do you find that the educational videos are the posts that get the most attention?
Yes, yes, I have found that they are. And I believe that's because I'm giving something to others. And so that's where the authenticity comes in. And it's so cool. It's so cool to realize that something that is done like genuinely to give to the world gets received by the world so well. So many things it feels like the manipulators or cheaters get ahead, but I've really noticed that the posts where I'm really thinking about others and taking time to share what I'm learning and to educate them and give them a little joy in their day are the ones that are the most well received.
Where did you get the seed money for your school?
So that's a great question. Actually, my partner was on a National Geographic reality TV show called Live Free or Die. And that show followed him and a few other people who were living off grid and talk about the kind of conflict between the way you're living and technology. It was a wonderful experience in a lot of ways, but we ended up deciding that it was in conflict with our life and chose to no longer be a part of that show after 3 seasons. And so we had a little bit of money from that to live on while we got the school started. But also, I've lived in a tent for the last 5 years before we've just finished our house, and I was in a school bus before that. So, and my life is pretty low cost. So that was doing without has been really helpful in getting things started. It gives me the freedom to create and to be generous and to experiment with creating something in the world that I really want to see that might be risky and not guaranteed to succeed.
For online courses, what kind of pricing have you set up?
That is another great question. And for all of our programs, online courses and in person, we do a sliding scale. And that has worked so well for me. It can be a bit of a pain to set up because you can't just put an item in your cart and check out. There are pricing plans, but it has worked out so that some people pay more, some people pay less, and it has always worked out to be kind of right in the middle. And that is so heartening when every time someone pays the maximum amount or someone pays the minimum who might not have been able to sign up otherwise. It's truly wonderful. So for my online class specifically, I've got a sliding scale of $100 to $200 for the course. And that's for all of the material that they're going to have access to forever.
Okay, so we have about 5 minutes and two questions left. How can we learn how to take better quality videos and pictures? Who takes photos, videos of you when you aren't doing selfies?
So my partner takes some sometimes, but I think it's really best to do them yourself because you know better than anyone like what looks good on you, what angles, and you can take unlimited retakes without worrying about holding someone hostage. So I think the best way is just to experiment and get a lot of practice taking pictures and taking videos. And I encourage you to look at other people's videos who you enjoy and kind of dissect the structure of those and see if there's ways that you can replicate some of that. And if you know a professional photographer personally, um, they might be willing to do a trade or take some really nice shots for you. But I think that the ones I take of myself with a timer are the ones that where I shine through the most.
All right, and our last question. How have you seen your social media work translate into your artistic goals off of those platforms? How has social media helped you grow your business?
That's awesome question. One thing is that it really lights a fire under me to do really well when there's a lot of people who are going to see what I've done. Inertia is real, and it's really easy in day-to-day life to let artistic craft practice fall to the wayside. But when I know that there are all these people who can't wait to see the next thing I'm making, it's really given me a lot of energy to throw behind my work. And I know that it's meaningful. So I have this incredible sense of purpose to my work. And I'm so grateful for that. And it's so funny that it's through social media. But, I think that's the goal of every artist is to have our work be impactful for others. I mean, that's the whole reason that it gets shared. And and certainly making work that's meaningful to ourselves is primary. But to know that folks are grateful and inspired and that it translates into their day-to-day life is such a blessing. And as I mentioned, the online social media, it definitely translates into more folks supporting my work, and that allows it to continue when I'm taken care of financially and folks are coming to my courses. So it's been a really wonderful gift and a very exciting journey.
Well, thank you, Delia. I know I've learned a lot. This has been very informative and insightful. I'd also like to thank my colleagues, Hillary and Ivan, for supporting me. I'd like to thank you all for spending your afternoon with us. This meeting has been recorded and it will be, you will receive a link via email, and it will also live on the South Arts website under the professional development section. And if there's nothing else, again, I thank you all and we will see you next time. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.